People admire emotional strength. They talk about resilience, confidence, mental toughness, but almost no one understands what it actually means. Most people think emotional strength is about not crying, not caring, not showing weakness, not letting anything bother you, being a stone wall, pretending everything is fine. That's not strength. That's emotional armor, and armor cracks under pressure. The Stoics had a different idea. Machiavelli had a different idea. And today, you will learn theirs. Because emotional untouchability is not about becoming less human. It's about becoming a master of your own mind instead of a prisoner of your reactions. And make no mistake, this is a mastery that only a small percentage of people ever reach. But once they do, they become rare, calm under chaos, stable under judgment, in control under pressure, unmoved by noise. People feel it when they walk into a room, a quiet gravity, a presence, a self-possession that cannot be threatened. This is the power you're going to learn today. The Stoics believed something radical. Your emotions are not the problem. Your reactions to your emotions are. Anger is not the problem. Fear is not the problem. Sadness is not the problem. Shame is not the problem. You are allowed to feel. You are human. But emotional weakness appears when you let those feelings dictate your decisions. The Stoics taught, you have a mind capable of choosing, which means you can feel anger without acting in anger. You can feel fear without living in fear. You can feel sadness without drowning in it. You can feel shame without collapsing under it. The emotion is not the threat. The loss of control is. Untouchability begins the moment you separate feeling from reaction. When you pause, when you breathe, when you respond from principle instead of impulse, you become someone few people can manipulate. Not because you're emotionless, but because you're self-governed. There are 3 traps that keep most people emotionally weak. Trap 1. External validation addiction. You care too much what others think. You give away your center of gravity. Trap 2. Emotional rumination. You replay stories, wounds, insults, or fears until they become your reality. Trap 3. Reactive identity. You define yourself by your reactions, not your choices. These traps destroy your autonomy, but each trap has a Stoic counterweapon. Let's break them down. Emotional Trap 1. The opinions of others. You cannot be emotionally untouchable if other people control your emotions through approval or rejection. This is the truth. Most people don't have opinions. They have projections. Their judgment of you is often their insecurity, their fear you'll succeed, their envy, their self-hatred, their confusion, their weakness, their unhealed trauma. But your mind assumes their opinions matter because your ego wants validation. The Stoic solution: indifference. Not hostility, not rebellion, not defensiveness, just indifference. The Stoics practiced the discipline of inner power. You don't fight for approval. You don't chase validation. You don't explain yourself. You don't negotiate your worth. You stay centered in who you are and why you're here. That is emotional invincibility. Emotional Trap 2. The stories you replay. The human mind creates pain long after the event is over. You may be living in the present, but your mind is living in the past. You replay insults. You replay failures. You replay embarrassments. You replay scenarios that no longer exist. And because the mind replays the story, the body replays the emotion. The Stoics taught this discipline. Observe the thought. Do not live inside it. If a story appears, you watch it. You do not become it. The moment you watch a thought, instead of entering the thought, you're free. Untouchability begins in the space between thought and identity. Emotional Trap 3. Defining yourself by reaction. When someone insults you, you react. When someone betrays you, you react. When life disappoints you, you react. And over time, your entire personality becomes reaction. You stop choosing who you are and start mirroring who others are. This is the essence of emotional fragility. The Stoic alternative. Principle over impulse. You respond from clarity, not reactivity. You respond from values, not wounds. You respond from discipline, not fear. And when you live this way, your emotional world becomes untouchable, not numb, not detached, governed. Now we enter the Machiavellian side of emotional strength. If Stoicism teaches internal control, Machiavelli teaches external control. People are emotional creatures. Most individuals are ruled by insecurity, fear, guilt, ego, envy, approval seeking. And here's the strategic truth. If you control your emotions, you control their reactions to you. Calmness destabilizes the insecure. Silence scares the manipulative. Indifference disarms the hostile. Self-control intimidates the reactive. Stillness confuses the chaotic. This is why emotional untouchability is not just psychological strength. It is social power. When your emotions are calm, others reveal their emotions in your presence, and you become the one who understands the room better than anyone else. Once you understand the traps that weaken you, you can begin building the internal structure that makes emotional untouchability possible. This is not about suppressing emotion. This is about mastering it. And mastery begins with awareness, not spiritual awareness, not therapeutic awareness, but strategic awareness. The kind that allows you to see yourself with the same clarity you use to see others. The weak avoid looking inward. The strong dissect themselves. If you want emotional power, you must understand 3 things. What triggers you, why it triggers you, and what story your mind attaches to it. Because emotional reactions aren't random. They're rehearsed. They're patterns you've repeated for years without realizing it. And patterns you don't understand will control you. The first Stoic technique is simple but transformative. Name the emotion without becoming it. When anger rises, I am experiencing anger. When fear rises, I am experiencing fear. When insecurity rises, I am experiencing insecurity. This tiny shift creates a psychological distance between you and the emotion. You stop being angry and start being someone who is observing anger. That distance is power, because what you observe, you can control, and what controls you is always something you're unaware of. Once the emotion is named, it loses its ability to hijack your behavior. You are not your impulses. You are the observer of them. This is the foundation of emotional untouchability. The Stoics believed that between stimulus and response, there exists a single moment, a gap so small that most people don't know it exists. But in that moment, you are free. Free to react emotionally, or free to respond rationally. Most people live their lives in reaction, but emotional strength begins the moment you claim that gap. Someone insults you, gap. You choose silence, not escalation. Someone disrespects you, gap. You choose clarity, not anger. Someone tests your boundaries, gap. You choose firmness, not panic. Someone tries to provoke you, gap. You choose indifference, not chaos. That single moment, that tiny hinge, is where emotional power is built. The more often you claim it, the more untouchable you become. Emotional weakness comes from instability, from letting the world dictate how you feel. To become untouchable, you must establish inner stability so strong that nothing external can throw you off center. Here's the Stoic formula. Control what is yours. Ignore what is not. What is yours? Your choices, your attitude, your discipline, your responses, your principles, your focus, your standards. What is not yours? Other people's opinions, other people's emotions, other people's mistakes, other people's expectations, other people's judgments, the past, uncontrollable events, imagined outcomes. The moment you stop taking ownership of things you cannot control, your emotional world becomes stable. And a stable mind is a powerful mind. Now we move to the Machiavellian layer. Stoicism gives you internal control. Strategy gives you external advantage. One of the most powerful strategic practices for emotional strength is something few ever master: social neutrality. This means you do not overreact, overshare, reveal insecurity, broadcast emotional turbulence, show eagerness, show fear, seek validation, or display emotional dependency. Emotionally neutral people scare manipulators. They unsettle insecure people. They confuse emotional people. They command respect without asking for it. Social neutrality doesn't mean you don't feel anything. It means you control what you reveal. You control what you respond to. You control how much access others have to your inner world. Because the less emotionally visible you are, the harder you are to control. Most people expose their emotions like an open book. Every insecurity, every fear, every reaction. Untouchable people reveal nothing and see everything. Emotional power is built in layers. Internal awareness. I know my emotions. Internal control. I choose my reactions. External neutrality. I reveal nothing unchosen. External perception. I shape how others react to me. This is where stoicism and strategy merge into a single force. A person who is stable inside and unreadable outside becomes immune to the emotional chaos of the world. Most people leak their emotions everywhere. You will not. Most people lose control under stress. You will not. Most people expose their weakness involuntarily. You will not. Your emotional world becomes your territory, and no one crosses that border without permission. One of the biggest strategic mistakes emotionally weak people make is giving others access to their emotional reactions. Every time you react emotionally, you reveal a weakness. You reveal a wound. You reveal a fear. You reveal a trigger. You reveal a point of leverage. And manipulators watch carefully. When you show neediness, they know you can be controlled through attention. When you show anger, they know how to provoke you. When you show insecurity, they know how to unsettle you. When you show fear, they know how to dominate you. To be emotionally untouchable, you must control access. People should know your values, your principles, your standards, and your vision, but never your emotional vulnerabilities. That is the difference between being human and being controllable. Becoming emotionally untouchable is not about being unfeeling. It's about being unshaken. When you master your internal world and understand the emotional world of others, you gain a type of strength that most people never experience. A calm, centered presence that cannot be broken by judgment, chaos, manipulation, or disrespect. But to reach that point, you must evolve into a different kind of person, someone who no longer reacts to life but directs life. This evolution requires 3 final steps. Step 1. Rewrite your emotional instincts. Emotional reactions are habits, patterns, rehearsed responses. If you've spent years reacting with anger, fear, insecurity, defensiveness, overthinking, and people-pleasing, then your brain treats those reactions as the default. To become untouchable, you must train new defaults. You replace anger with curiosity, insecurity with neutrality, fear with preparation, defensiveness with silence, overthinking with grounded action, and people-pleasing with boundaries. This isn't suppression, it's rewiring. The old emotional patterns were learned, the new ones can be learned too. And once the rewiring takes hold, your emotions begin serving you instead of sabotaging you. Step 2. Develop boundary power. Emotionally fragile people have weak boundaries because they fear consequences. Emotionally powerful people have unbreakable boundaries because they accept consequences. Here are the rules. If someone disrespects you once, you correct it immediately. If they disrespect you twice, you disengage. If they manipulate your emotions, you remove access. If they test you to see how far they can push, you push back once, and then they learn. If someone demands emotional labor without giving any in return, you stop participating. Boundaries are not walls. They are rules of engagement. And when you enforce your rules consistently, you become someone who cannot be exploited. People respect what you protect, not what you tolerate. And the person who protects their emotional world becomes emotionally untouchable. Step 3. Embody the presence of an untouchable. Emotional untouchability is not just psychological, it becomes physical. People feel it when you walk into a room. Here's what that presence looks like. Calm posture, shoulders relaxed, breathing slow, no fidgeting. Stillness equals strength. Controlled tone, not loud, not timid. Measured, grounded, unhurried. Neutral micro-expressions, no excessive smiling, no exaggerated reactions, no visible insecurity. Direct but unaggressive eye contact, not confrontational, not submissive, just steady and certain. Limited emotional visibility. You don't show disappointment easily. You don't show irritation easily. You don't show eagerness easily. People cannot influence what they cannot read, and that makes you unpredictable, unmanipulable, and unreachable to emotional chaos. This presence is not an act. It becomes your identity as your internal stability strengthens. The Stoics taught that emotional suffering comes from attachment. Attachment to how people should treat you. Attachment to how life should unfold. Attachment to ideal outcomes. Attachment breeds fragility. Detachment breeds power. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about anything. It means you stop clinging to outcomes you cannot control. You move with clarity. You act with principle. You speak with intention. But you release the need for life to unfold in a specific way. This is why emotionally untouchable people walk lighter, because they carry less. They carry principle, not expectation, self-respect, not ego, discipline, not drama, stillness, not chaos. They live from the center, not the edges. When you master your emotional world, you gain advantages people rarely talk about. You make better decisions. You gain influence. You attract healthier relationships. You stop tolerating disrespect. You develop inner calm. You think clearly under pressure. You become harder to manipulate. You command respect effortlessly. You no longer crumble under criticism. You become someone people look to for guidance. Emotional untouchability is not numbness. It is sovereignty. It is the quiet confidence of someone who knows exactly who they are and refuses to be moved by noise, chaos, approval, or rejection. You are not trying to become emotionless. You are becoming emotionally governed. You observe your emotions. You control your reactions. You determine what you reveal. You shape how others respond. You choose your identity instead of reacting to life. You protect your boundaries with certainty. You move with principle instead of impulse. You detach from outcomes you cannot control. You walk with a presence few people understand. This is emotional power. This is emotional sovereignty. This is emotional untouchability. Remember, the world can only touch what you leave unguarded. But your mind, your inner world, your emotional center, that belongs to you and only you. Carry it with calm strength. Move through life with quiet certainty. And let your emotional stability become your strongest weapon. This is the Stoic Fox, and this is your evolution.